that Silicon Valley is a stressful place to call home because you live it every day in your calendar, in your commute, in your housing payment. How do you have any damn fun when all you do is work? Yeah, you come home from the office, but do you really stop working? What is the price you are paying for this Silicon Valley lifestyle? Hi, everybody. Welcome back to SiliCAN, your antidote to the Silicon Valley grind. I'm your host, Shana McLean-Moore, here at my office in Anchor Psychology. And today I'd love to introduce you to Susan Kraft-Yorke, a technical writer and artist living here in the Valley and making it work. The reason we have this podcast is because I think it's so important to identify the things about Silicon Valley that we love, but also the pain points so that we can let people feel less alone in the sufferings of the grind, and then not leave anybody just suffering, but to do something about it, to take some steps where you can to make your life more manageable, more enjoyable. So we're here today to talk about how Susan has done this. And so Susan, I'd love to know what brought you to Silicon Valley and when.
I came here in 1985 when it was still called Xerox PARC. It wasn't called Silicon Valley yet.
Wow.
Xerox PARC. It was really Palo Alto. I came here as a scientist from Alaska to work at the Alaska branch at the U.S. Geological Survey, which is right next to SAP. So that was like a really techie area. Stanford, so I worked with Stanford and Berkeley and the USGS and a little bit of SAP. And I was a programmer and a geophysicist, and I loved it here. Very simple times then, simple. I mean, it was just like a mom and pop dog food store and a university. I mean, this is like handmade science kind of stuff. Like
wow.
Super simple stuff going on.
Wow.
Yeah.
But what drew you? What made you came for the job?
I came for the job, but they didn't pay very well and I had no insurance and I had a little kid and I thought, well, I'm a programmer because I'm a scientist. So I'll go try programming out there.
Wow.
So I got a job as a programmer.
And
I called it a scientific programmer. They didn't call it a software engineer yet.
Oh, wow.
Generally.
Oh my gosh. And you're still standing to tell through the evolution.
So I did that. And it's funny because it was the old style of programming with the big reels of tape. Right. Wow. And then it switched. There was this little company across the street from our company called Sun. And they had these things called pizza boxes and cake boxes. There was different sizes of computer cases. It looked like a pizza box or a cake box. And so we all switched to using Sun and Unix and C.
Oh my God.
And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to go back to college because I want to study the universe. I need to get deeper into science and instead of studying machines because that seemed kind of boring. So I went to school, did that for a while, and then said, you know what? I really liked the beat of tech because they just seem to be cleaner and more honest about it. In science, there's a lot of egos. There's hardly any money. So egos were the most important.
Right. That makes sense.
In Silicon Valley, whether you made it or whether it worked or not was clearly evident right away with, is it working? Are people buying it? And so the bottom line kept people very honest. And I thought with what they were working on. So I came back, but by the time I came back, I was no longer an efficient programmer because things had changed so quickly in 3 years. Things had changed dramatically. So I thought, well, I learned how to write when I was in graduate school, so I'll be a technical writer. It was great. It was the best thing I ever did.
Really?
I just took to it so easily, and it was so much less work than what I had been doing before. However, I started getting into the startups, and I'm working.
Oh boy.
And I wake up in the morning, I'm on my computer at home, and then I'd go into work, and then I'd come home and continue working. So I was in that grind of the 90s during the first boom.
Yeah.
And I wanted to like really ride one of those startups. And you find out eventually that unless you are in that first group of 10 people, you're not going to make the big bucks.
Right.
If you come in later when you're the number 200, or you might make some. But it's not worth it.
Not life-changing.
It's just not worth it. So I did that for 10 years. I kept trying to ride that big wave, and I made some money. It was kind of exciting. I had stock purchases and stuff like that. But eventually I pulled out and said, I can't do this anymore.
So it was for more of a lifestyle choice.
Yeah. In fact, after 9/11, I pulled out completely and I started an art gallery in downtown Palo Alto.
And that's when I met you.
Yes.
And so I was so surprised you were a technical writer because I knew you as an artist. So tell us a little bit about your art gallery.
Well, it was called Art 21 in downtown Palo Alto, and it was fantastic, except that I was doing all the tech. I did the website, I did all the program management, I interviewed and took care of all the artists, I did all the press releases, I did all the writing for the gallery, and I was working probably 80 hours a week.
Oh my gosh. So you did it for the lifestyle, but you found yourself right back in it.
I wanted to just be all involved in art, but it shifted. Like, it was kind of like going to school, because I was like deep in it for 4 years, or 5 years, I guess at least it's 5 years. And I came out of it with a really deeply connected to the art community, because I got involved and I'm on the board of this and that, and did a TV show and met you. And so it expanded my life in that I knew more people than just tech people.
Right.
And turned out that a lot of artists are married to tech people.
Right.
So this is a very tech art balanced community.
I love that.
So I was together, just me alone was very similar to many couples, where there's the tech person and there's the artist in the same household.
Right. And you've got it right built in within you.
So it was just me. Yeah. So I no longer felt weird, because in tech I was kind of hiding the fact that I was an artist.
Right.
Because they didn't want to hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
But
then you joined the two. And how you must have sold the art gallery?
I no, well, it was during, I've ridden the waves of the boom bust in Silicon Valley twice. It was during the housing market crash that I closed it. Yeah, that's when I closed it. And but then I had gotten married during that time, and we bought a house during the crash. And what I do now to kind of keep things really, because now I've been in this for so long. I've been at home at 10 o'clock at night and meetings to India, or I've been at 2 o'clock in the morning, I roll over and I look at my phone, I check out my Jira tickets to see what's going on.
Big mistake.
Yeah.
At 2 in the morning.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I did a lot of project management at 2 in the morning.
Wow.
Because there's people all over the world. There's Brazil, India, they were in Greece, not Greece, but they were in Germany certainly, and Russia, and
wow,
and the East Coast, West Coast, Canada, both sides,
right.
Australia. I was working with people all over the world, and I was the centerpiece, keeping everything together.
Right.
And
that's probably the biggest downside of a global economy is the time zone problem.
One time I worked I was doing contract. I do a lot of contract work now, mostly, so I can take vacations whenever I want.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
There's the lifestyle that we're looking for.
Yeah. And I can work at home often because I'm a contractor.
Beautiful.
So,
that helps mitigate one of the biggest. I like to say that there are 3 reasons why this valley kind of crushes people. One is the price of our housing. Mm-hmm. Another is the commuting. Mm-hmm. And the third is the constant pinging of all hours, which you've alluded to.
I've done that. Yeah. And I shut it off. I actually turn off, I go into airplane mode. Wow. After 10 o'clock at night, it's programmed to go into airplane mode.
Good.
So there's not any signal coming next day, because they understand that perhaps the signal is not good for you. So if you're laying with that phone right next to your head.
Right. We don't need any. Yeah. They may be wrong about that, but it doesn't matter. We're going to play it
safe.
I'm
a physicist. I'm physicist. I'm an artist. I've been in Valley for a long time. I've actually read some of the detailed information about high frequency. Yeah. What I do now, though, is I built a garden. We bought this house, and I made sure I had a beautiful garden. And I go outside every morning with my coffee.
Love it.
And I just sit there in my garden, and just it's an antidote to being in front of a computer screen all day long.
Yes.
Thinking
Fresh
about
air, beautiful color. Yeah. I agree with you.
Some of the other things that have changed in Silicon Valley and are still changing now is the way we manage projects. Before it was the waterfall method. You'd lay out this big long plan, and it would be like maybe 6 months or a year, and you would grind through it, and you had to make sure you hit all those, they call them gates. And then if you didn't hit those gates, whose fault was it?
Oh, right.
So there's always a scapegoat. There's always one group or a person on the team that was building something that wasn't, bringing it in. So you would it was kind of like playing poker. You knew you were behind, but you would hope somebody else would fess up first.
Right. Well, that doesn't sound stressful at all.
It was very stressful. And some days it gets so toxic that I would, on the way in to calm myself down, I'd say, I'm going to a dramatic play today. I wonder what's going to happen.
That's such a great way to.
I wonder what character's going to blow up today.
And so instead of being stressed out, you're trying to turn it into an adventure story.
I'm watching a movie. I'm watching a play. It's a live theater performance.
Well, that's so great.
And I'm just there up close. Yeah, that's what I would do to fool myself and not worrying like what's going to blow up today and get people are going to. I mean, there's people fists are pounding and but now we're into Agile, and the tenets of Agile is all about understanding and being involved together and helping each other and nothing hidden. So if there is a problem early, it's exposed right away, and then someone else in your team can help you solve that problem.
Oh, that seems healthy. And do people
mind
that?
No, people will, when you bring this new idea to them, some people just don't want to do it. They want to work in secrecy and alone, and they just want to work through their stuff themselves.
Right.
They don't want to become part of the team, and they end up going somewhere else. But this Agile teams, it's much healthier. Yeah. And it's a kind and loving way to be. Right. But people are trying to do that, and you need training, because we've been trained the other way for so long to be toxic and competitive, right, and secretive and not expose your problems.
Right. Okay. So I'm hearing that the round the clock part is one of the pain points for you, the getting pinged from internationally in the middle of the night and feeling that you need to respond is one of the pain points. It sounds like you've mitigated the whole commute issue by being a consultant and being able to.
I will refuse to take a trip over the bridge. If anything's over the bridge, no.
Yeah, don't need the business that bad.
And I've told people, I said, I'm in the middle of Silicon Valley. Why would I drive from Redwood City to San Jose? I know there's something right here. Yeah. I'll wait.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic.
I just refuse. I'll just wait it out. I'd rather be unemployed for a month and wait for the right contract that's nearby than to take the first contract and be in this long commute. It's just not, I've done it and it's just not worth it. It's painful. I become sullen. Yes. And then I'm out of energy when I get home, because the commute is really stressful because you're worried about getting in an accident.
Well, which I'm going to interrupt, because when we did our exploratory phone call to decide if we were going to do this podcast taping, you were driving on El Camino, I remember, and you were in a left lane, and somebody was in front of you in the left lane and of a 3-lane road, and decided to make a right-hand turn in front of all the people. And what was the funniest part was that person's car was already all crushed on that side of the car. You're like, wow, I'm guessing this person's done this before. And I thought, oh my gosh, like how to make this commute even worse. Let's make a right-hand turn from the 3rd lane on the left. Oh my gosh. I contend that everybody should be able to work from home 2 days a week. I think that is a solution to traffic.
I think so too.
Traffic gives people, everyone I know commutes at least an hour each way. So that's 4 hours over 2 days of your life back that you could fill with beautiful balance and not more work. I
last too. All right, here's the other thing. You can ask. You could say, okay, they're prayers, or you can ask the universe. And if you are in tune, right? I don't know how much your viewers are into this, but if you are grounded and you're in tune, it might sound a little woo-woo-y, but I swear to God, this works. I say, I want a job in town. Wow. And I got a contract. If I wanted to, I could walk there in 15, 20 minutes in Redwood City, downtown Redwood City. Oh my gosh. I walk hard, but I would just drive. I could drive there in 5 minutes. Wow. And park. And it was a job where I didn't have an office at all. I would come in once a week for a meeting, and then I'd write something up, and then I'd come back for a meeting and say, let's look at this. And then I'd go away and might have a few emails, a couple of, texts. And that went on for a year. And then that kind of faded away because they had change of management, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, I need a more standard job with a regular paycheck, but I still want to be nearby. So I got a job that's a 25-minute through surface streets commute.
Oh, that's beautiful. If you really think about that, that's at least an hour of your life you got back that day. Yeah. And it doesn't sound like a lot of time, but if you are looking at a work day, and most people's work days are way too long, that hour is a sacred piece of time. And I think
and not everyone can wait a month for the right contract. Right. Mine come a little faster, but if you're holding out, it's hard. Right. It is hard. But if you do get that job that's too far away, keep looking.
Yeah.
Could be looking, because it's just not worth it. I've had contracts down at Great America. I've had contracts. I mean, I've come over here where you are. This is a little bit far. That's why I got here so early.
Yeah.
So I thought,
Thank you.
I'd rather come early.
You came to San Jose
and beat the commute.
Yes.
Yeah, I worked with somebody at Apple who lived in Berkeley, and she would arrive at 6:30 because she just refused to do a commute with other people.
Yeah.
Traffic.
Wow.
She would just, and then she was a voracious reader, so she'd just bring a book along, and she'd read a book.
Wow.
She's a writer.
That's a commitment too, though. What I wonder in those situations is what is happening to your relationships.
I say she's a single woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she was a dancer, and she read, and she was pretty much, her relationship was with her.
Yeah. She's
life.
As long as she's fulfilled, go girl, go.
But it's hard.
But I look at the people that are in a family dynamic and think, what happens when you have two parents that are working from 7 to 7, and then you come home from work and you're exhausted, but you have children at home who need attention, right? What's happening to these children that have limited contact with their parents? And when they do have contact with their parents, they're tapped out. They've been, dealing with commuters cutting over 3 lanes of traffic and
I raised a daughter here. I did raise a daughter here. So she's now grown, but towards the end of her teen years, and I'm working constantly. There's 2 things that happened. My mom moved in with me, so you need help. You cannot live here without help. And you can't pay for somebody. I mean, some people can, but most people can't. So my mom, she wanted to live in California for a while, so she came out here, and it really made a huge difference.
Oh, thank God.
So you need a second set of eyes too, especially as they age and they're more autonomous. And when she got a little older, when she was 16, I had the coolest manager. I'm working in Menlo Park at a startup. It was a spin-off from a big company, and they spun off a little company, but it was an international company. So that was 24/7.
Oh,
yeah, it was one of those. But my manager was really cool. He gave my daughter a job there so she could be with me more, spend more time with me.
That's wonderful.
And it made a huge difference because she was getting more sullen and distant, withdrawn. And what can I do? You know? I have to work because I was a sole breadwinner.
Right.
And she's going through a difficult era of teen years, and it was a huge difference. Difference.
I hope that if there are any people managers out there listening, I really think of what you're doing to the people that work for you. If you are pinging them during dinner hour, then that means you're interrupting their family dynamic. If you are expecting anything after 6 p.m., what are you doing to this person's lifestyle? They deserve to have something else for themselves. They deserve to be able to get some exercise. They deserve to be able to connect with people they care about. They deserve to have a hobby that fills them up, so that this doesn't just feel like resentment and sadness, that all your whole life is about this pain.
And you have control. You do have control. And your thoughts become your words, become your actions, become your life.
Yes.
So if you know you can do this, it can happen. Right. And I'm here to testify. It's absolutely, and your intuition, follow your intuition. So when I got out of grad school, I was very, very focused on measure it. It can happen. You have to be able to measure it and touch it. And then that's real. And I had kind of left my intuitive artistic self a long time ago, because I'd gotten into science and computers and things that, these are real stuff. And one day on my way to work, the job where the guy actually hired my daughter, she didn't work full time. She only worked there a couple hours a week, but it was really fun for her too, and a little money.
Yeah. He actually paid her.
Yeah, it was an internship.
Oh my gosh,
she was helping. She was helping his admin.
That's so great. And how old was she at the time?
16.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, it was summer. It was especially summer because they're not going to school. They don't have their thing going on. So anyway, I was leaving for work, and the sky was bright blue, and I had a thought, bring an umbrella, and I thought, well, that's a weird thought. Where'd that come from? The sky is bright blue. I got to work that night. Just buckets of water coming down, black sky.
Oh my gosh.
And I had to run into the car, and I got totally drenched just in like the 1-minute dash of the car. And I thought, as a scientist, I'm thinking, pay attention to that data point.
Yeah.
And so then I started to really pay attention to those thoughts.
Yeah.
Right.
I wonder how many people are guided.
Like you had a thought this morning about bring that. I don't need that today.
Yeah.
And then you did.
Yeah. I really wish.
I should listen to myself. Listen to your intuition. So, and as my daughter was growing up, she was struggling with like, what do I do with my life? How do I make the decision? I said, this is something you have to learn on your own. I can't help you. You have to learn the difference between fear of safety and fear of avoidance.
Love
so if
that.
you avoid a fearful thing, you're going to be faced with it over and over again. And then your intuition, to listen to your intuition and go with it, even if it sounds silly. Just if that intuition keeps coming and people come up to you and say something to you that match that intuition, definitely do that thing, because it will change your life in a good way.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
That is great advice.
Yeah.
I love the combination of art and science within you. I think that makes you a bit of a unicorn around here, because I'm 100% arts minded and not at all science minded, as you might have seen in some of our technical issues we've had today. But so I love to see that combination. I think that makes for a fascinating life.
And it's only gotten better. I think that's why it's gotten easier for me.
Yeah.
Not only am I more confident because I've had a career for a long time, which helps, I suppose, but it's the confidence in my intuitive ability. And so now I just follow those intuitive thoughts rather than the script of bullet points if I must do this, that, and the other thing.
Right.
I have the ability, now I know what it has. So just in the back of my mind, I know how things should kind of go, but I don't script things out as strongly as I used to.
Interesting.
And I get a better product at the end. I have a better experience at the end, and it's way less stressful.
Right.
If you say, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do that. It's like, what I wanted to have that end result, and I'm going to allow my intuitive guidance to get me there, because I have all the tools.
Right.
I've cleared the road.
Right.
So let's just go for it. So like really prescribing everything, because it makes it it makes it just really rigid and stiff. Yeah. And that doesn't sound fun, does it?
No,
rigid and stiff is not fun.
And so I believe that there are 4 ways that we can mitigate this Silicon Valley grind. And one of those ways is by having a firm acceptance of the need for boundaries. And I think combined with your intuition, I think that's really something that I see you're doing. Yes, because it's one thing to know what feels right, but if you don't make that, if you're too concerned about pleasing other people, then you end up acting against your intuition. So you have to be confident enough to trust that your intuition is right for you, and then do something with that might impact others. Like the way you're talking about it is how it impacts you. And I'm wondering what your experience is with how boundaries affect your relationships with others to make your life better.
How my boundaries affect?
Yeah, do you have a conscious plan when people are trying to so I love the quote. You can't live a negative life you can't live a positive life surrounded by negative people. Right. And I like to tag on to that and say, you can't live a positive life surrounded by negative people and input. Because I think we have to be really mindful of what we consume. If you, like, I was talking to a friend this weekend, and she was saying that she has she works all the time, and then when she's stalling from work and procrastinating what her work is, she defaults to the news outlets. And I'm thinking, you cannot live a positive life surrounded by, I don't care if it's Fox News or CNN or whatever news channel you ascribe to, do not default to that, because what you're doing is you're piping in constant controversy. Do you have to be informed? Absolutely. Do you have to wallow? Absolutely not. And so to me, boundaries is about like knowing what works for me, the intuition part, but then a decisive action. Like, who are the people that are trying to come at me, as far as not work, because work you don't have as much control, but outside of work, who wants my time? And who do I owe that time to out of some sort of obligation? And does that mean I have to spend a lot of time with them, or could it be a little bit of it? Like making these firm decisions that I get to decide. I get to protect my spirit from outside influences. So do you do that kind of casually? Like, do you just know that within you, or do you do something really decisive about it?
I think when you turn that to that philosophy, you have to be consciously do this first. Just like when you first start to do anything, you have to be prescriptive a little bit, but then till it becomes a habit. Right. So it's like the thoughts become the words, become the habits, become your life. and I try, now it's just more natural to compliment and smile at people as much as possible, right? And and whoever manager hires me, usually it's because we've connected in the interview.
Mm-hmm.
So we've already got a connection there.
Mm-hmm.
And then my internal message is, I'm going to help them have a better day. Like, how can I help you?
Yeah.
Because I'm there to help you.
Yeah.
I mean, you're helping me by giving me a job and money, and I get this cool thing, whatever it is you're giving me to do. Hopefully it's cool. But I sometimes even tell them, like, I'm here to help you be successful to the company, because that's what you're here for. Right?
What a refreshing attitude for them to receive, right?
Only one time have I had a manager say, no, I'm here to make you successful. Thought, wow, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah. But that was the one where I was, having 10 o'clock meetings with somebody in India.
Oh gosh, exhausting.
And the 2 o'clock checkup and up on his kids.
Yeah.
So it was, he
a
thought,
nice attempt, but not a lot of follow through.
I think he was just shy to accept that kind of a gift from me.
Yeah.
So
I think attitude, I can just tell your attitude is, I think it's so much like people hire so much for skill, but I don't think people give enough value for what the energy a person's going to bring to your team dynamic. Because if somebody is sour or argumentative, or they just bring the morale right down. And I think to provide, as I always like to say, if I can't give service with a smile, then I should not offer the service, because it applies to how I help my parents, with they're getting older, and I don't want to go over there and say, yeah, what do you need? Like I want give them a big hug. I love you. What's going on? What do you need? Like if you can't do it with that kind of energy, then you're so toxic. You might as well not give it at all. So we talked a little bit about boundaries then, and I would love to know what kind of content you choose to pipe in for yourself. I know that there's the boundary for people, although it sounds like you're very accepting of people. What kind of content do you consume for pleasure?
That's a good question. I'd like to listen to audiobooks because of the commute, the small commute anyway. And I just read so much. I mean, because I'm a writer, so which means I'm doing research often. I'm reading a lot and writing a lot. So I just don't need to read more, but I do like to listen to well-written books.
Right.
So they've got a couple of favorite authors, and usually there's some sort of a mystery-ish kind of thing. Like there's people you have these different characters, and then there's some sort of a conflict or an unknown that needs to be discovered. So I really like having the unknown to be discovered. However, if it's I don't like listening to murder stories unless the characters are just really interesting and the murder is from some sort of a whodunit, like a academic history kind of thing. But the horrible ones, the nasty ones, I got this really cool book, and it was so well written, and I really wanted to listen to it, but it was depressing because I didn't want to live in that life. It was a story, and somebody might have heard it because it's a worldwide phenomenon. It's about it's not Sweden. Maybe I'll just say Sweden, about a man in an old age home.
Oh.
And it's his diary.
Oh, wow.
And so it's first person, what it's like to live in an old age home. And he's clever and funny, but then you're there. And it's decrepit, and the people around him are fading away, and it's like, I don't want to envision that.
No,
it's like I'm not actually interested in living that life. So even though it was really good writing, I just didn't want to live that life. I didn't want to experience that. It's like I need to, I want to make sure that I stay healthy and uplifted, and not live for death. Live for today. Plan for the future. So here's my favorite phrase that I've developed over the years here. Make decisions today that leave good memories for tomorrow.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think that walking in, like, you're being mindful of the content you consume. I don't think everyone is. I think some people are like, sure, let's go to the horror film. And I think I just can't bring that kind of darkness in, and then have sweet dreams at night. I have anxious thoughts trying to go to sleep. So I love that you do have a boundary for content. And I do love that philosophy about how to live today for
make decisions that bring you good memories.
Yeah.
Like coming here. I think this would be a great memory, a
Well,
great
good.
idea.
I
Yeah.
hope so.
Yeah.
It is for me. I
Yeah.
love conversations about how, again, we all live in this pressure cooker.
Mhm.
Who are the people
Yeah.
that come out with still a smile on their face and some good energy to share?
Mhm.
And so I think that's why I do these talks, because I always talk to someone
Mhm.
who's managing it. Doesn't mean that life's easy or perfect. It's
Mhm.
just the choices that you make to make it better, instead of just feeling so victimized by the crush of the grind. So we talked about boundaries. I would love to talk about balance.
Mhm.
I know that life balance is
Mhm.
so cliche that most
Mhm.
people roll their eyes at it. And I think the problem is that most people think about balance as every day should be
And it's an
balanced.
extra job. Now I got to balance.
Right. Great. Yeah. Now I have to
I
work
got
that in. Thanks, Shana. Yeah.
and I got that on my to-do list.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
what I do is with my clients, I have to-do lists that are divided by category,
Mhm.
because I think there are 4 key areas of
Mhm.
ourself, and that we need to serve each one of those at least one time during a week, so that we can feel like, okay, this pace is sustainable and hopefully enjoyable.
Mhm.
So to me, the 4 pieces are your intellectual, your career self,
Mhm.
how obviously work usually takes care of that
Mhm.
part on its own. But if your work kind of depletes you, I think you need to have some outside learning that just kind of inspires your mind
Mhm.
and imagination, just because I think it helps you have more interesting conversations with
Mhm.
people, and it makes you just feel more interested in the world around you.
Mhm.
So it's the career intellectual side, it's your physical health, which
Mhm.
a lot of us struggle with.
Mhm.
I do. I need to move more and
Mhm.
eat less.
Mhm.
Um, but it includes sleep.
Now eat less, but eat the right things more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And probably less of them. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
So we need to have enough sleep, which is
Yes. Yeah.
a
Sleep
big
is
problem
difficult. Yeah.
here.
Around here.
We
There's so
need,
much happening. So much buzz
yeah,
happening. It's hard
right.
to let it go.
And look at your phone at 2
Yeah.
in the morning, and
Yeah.
then it zzz, and then your brain goes, and how do you get back to sleep after
Mhm.
knowing that somebody's wanting something
Mhm.
from you? That's really, really hard.
Yeah.
So we need to make sleep a priority. We need to make exercise a priority. We need to make proper nutrition a
Mhm.
priority, and we need to see the doctor regularly,
Mhm.
so that anything small going on is going to be dealt with
Yes.
before it becomes a life-changing
Right.
problem.
Right.
So how do you approach balance? Do you think about it, or
Oh yes, very much, very much. In fact, the very first thing I did when I took this new position at Intuit, as a contractor, they have a gym, and contractors, you get to join the gym for $15 a month. It's open 24/7. They have trainers there, and the training, you can hire a trainer for like way less than you would have ever said.
Right.
So I right away, first thing I did was say, okay, I want to
Awesome.
have 30 hours of training right now. Here,
Boy.
let me just.
Yeah.
And so and I've developed a relationship with this nice young trainer, and we talk about life balances as well a little bit.
Good.
And so I go there twice a week. Usually it was like I'd go there if I had a gym on my own. I would go super early in the morning. I'd work out for an hour, and then I have to clean. So I give myself an hour and a half or 2 hours so I can get there, work out,
Wow.
and then clean up. So then I'd go into work maybe at 9 instead of at 8 or at 10.
Right.
But I'm there, so
Yeah.
I can only do a half hour.
Right.
Because it's the middle of the workday. I can't get there super early.
Right.
Because she works regular hours.
Right.
So I adjusted my way that I expected to work out to just give myself a way to stretch and to think about something else. Speaking of something else, to break, I have to look up and look far away. Right. If you're at the screen all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Your
Don't wait till your eyes get blurry.
Yeah.
Get up and go outside and look far away. And you
go
should
outside and breathe some fresh air, right?
Yes. Yeah. And luckily at Intuit, they've got babbling brooks, and they've got beautiful
Oh,
grass.
nice.
They've landscaped. It's really nice. So I just go outside and sit for a while.
Right.
Listen to them. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I grow vegetables at my house, so I always bring something with me.
Nice.
Back in my purse, you'll see I've got some green leaves sticking out. I just grab some lettuce leaves.
That's
take it with me.
awesome.
It gives me a connection to home.
Yeah.
And I feel good about this. I grew it. And
Yeah.
I'm sure it's just as nutritious as the lettuce you get at the store, but for me, it's like, this is extra.
Yeah.
I always call I call my daughter or my mom at least once a week when I'm driving to work or coming back, or I'll call a friend. So I'll have a conversation with somebody with heartfelt.
I love it.
Yeah.
Because I say that our biggest mistake I think we make is presuming that a friendship that we value but don't feed is active and live, and that a lot of times something big will happen in our lives, either something really scary or something wonderful, and we are like expecting this person that we love to come running, and we get super disappointed, like devastated that they don't, and we think, what happened here? And I think that we oftentimes have to look within, like, did we maintain that? Are you hanging on to a memory you had with that person that isn't being nurtured? And so I think we really have to take the time every week to let the people we care about know that there are people, so that, well, not for any manipulation reason, to keep the relationship fresh, for the benefits of today, but also the benefits of, we want to have a village of people when we really need to call it in. And I think that that's super important. So I love to hear that you're keeping those lines.
So I make sure I do that when I had a really long commute. I would call my sister, my mother, or my daughter, one of them, every day. So every 3 days they would hear from me. And my daughter was launching when she was in her early 20s, and she was launching, and she was unattached, and she moved to New York City. It's like, oh my God. So I'd call her, and my mom was, whatever, she was with my sister. And luckily I did that with my sister, because sometimes I would catch my brother-in-law, and it was a time where I just did this every day. I would call one of them, and my brother-in-law got really sick and died very quickly. And it was just happened to be the time that I don't call my sister every day anymore, but back then I call my mom. She's 90. And my daughter is now fully launched her career with kids, and she's busy, so I don't call her every day. She can't talk on the phone every day. Right. But at that time, I called each one of them every day, and I'm really glad I had, because it was that intuitive thought, and it turned out to work really well, because I was in a very close relationship with my sister at the time, and she needed support. She got sick and died.
Oh gosh.
And I'm glad I got to talk to him fairly often, because often he would answer the phone. And she was busy, and so I just chatted with him, which was very unusual. So
wow, that's
so it's just, again, it's that intuitive thought. Just do it,
act on it,
and stay connected to the people that are going to stay that are in your life for a long time.
And to keep it current and connected. And then the last one is our emotional self, and or our joy self. So it sounds like your garden is a source of joy for you.
My painting,
and your painting. So you're still painting.
Oh yes, very much.
I love it.
Yes. So craftart.com.
Oh good. I was actually just going to say that. Yes. Craftart, KRAFT
art.com.
Art.com. I love it.
I got the greatest prize yesterday. My daughter wrote to me. She said her son, who is in first grade, remembered my last name, because I'm an umpa, right? And different last name than they have. And the teacher was talking about art, and he piped up and said, my grandma is an artist. Do you know her website? He thought he did. So she looked me up, and they invited me to give a demo at their school in New York City.
Love it. Are you going to do it?
Yeah, because we plan on being there next May.
Oh my gosh, that's so.
He said, and she's going to be here in May. Okay, so I got an invitation
so cool.
for my grandson to give an art demo.
I love that. Oh, that's fantastic.
So having a website is pretty nice.
Yeah.
So isn't that sweet?
That's so sweet. Those moments are everything. Okay, so your joys are art and gardening.
Yes, and those things take planning.
Yes, right? Absolutely. How much time do you think you probably spend on them in any given week?
Oh gosh, I would bet that I spend, between the two of them, because I do one or the other more or less, probably about 10 hours a week.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Because one of the most crushing things to me is when I sit across from a new client and say, if the goal is to like your life, what are your go-to moves to lift your spirits? And I'm telling you, more people than not look at me with blank eyes and a sense, like a face of anxiety, like, Shana, I got nothing. And so I think, and I mean, I like my TV too, but it's great for relaxing, but it doesn't feel satisfying afterwards, like doing something. And so I think we really ought to be able to list like 5 activities that are going to lift our spirits, so that when we do find ourselves with a cherished moment, we know exactly what to tap into that's going to give us what we are looking for.
Going for walks. There's so many great places around here to go for walks.
So beautiful.
If you live in a congested area, go to the Baylands or go to Skyline and walk the hills. So when I had that job where I was just going in for a meeting once a week and I got to write whenever I wanted to. And it was really, I was only working about 20 hours a week really, because they didn't have that much to do. It was a very small company. Now I'm working a full-time job. I'm there at the office most days. Anyway, when I had that year of luxury, right, I was working really close to home. I had a friend who has a very fluid job, and she liked to go for hikes. And I said, great. Yeah, I want to go for a hike too. She said, let's go to Windy Hill. Okay, great. So I'm going there. I thought, you know what? We didn't exactly say where exactly to meet on Windy Hill. I knew on Skyline, there's this Windy Hill Preserve. And my husband and I used to drive up there and just kind of walk around a little bit on Skyline.
Yeah.
Oh, no. We were meeting at the bottom in Los Altos Hills.
Oh.
We're walking to the top of Windy Hill. It's like, wow.
Oh.
I didn't. So the first day I was unprepared.
Yeah.
But I did it anyway.
Amazing. But
yeah, she was very kind. We walked slow. Yeah, but I did that once a week.
That's
for several months. And it was really exciting. And wow, what a treat.
Yeah.
And so
walking is a third.
Wow.
Good.
Yeah.
I think it's
extreme walks like that, or even just simple and Baylands walks. I have a friend who at least once every 2 months we meet on a set. We make sure, we haven't done this in a long time. Let's meet on Sunday morning or Saturday morning and go for our Baylands walk, and we just catch up.
I love that. I call that a twofer, because if you're doing something, well, actually that's a threefer for you, because it's physical. So you're getting some exercise. It's a joy of yours to take in the nature around you, and you're doing it with a friend. It's like,
and I took photos, and I did 3 paintings from the Baylands too last year.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So there you go. And I've yet to have someone sit down with me who can't list their joys. It's unlike some of the other conversations I have with people that look at me blankly when I say, what are your joys? The people that are wanting to sit down and talk about how to beat this Silicon Valley grind, the ones who are beating it and who have that spirit all know what their joys are and serve them. Yeah. Okay. So we've talked about balance. We've talked about boundaries. We haven't talked about bravery. And so to me, I already know what you're going to say, but I love it already. You're no pressure. Okay. But when it comes to being brave, I think there are 2 ways we need to do it. The first is in showing up as our authentic self. And I think that's actually one of the most beautiful things about aging, is that it gets a lot easier to just not care. Because this is it.
Because when are you going to do it? If you're not going to do it now, when are you going to do it? When are you going to be you?
Right. So do you have any, I know you have no problem with being authentic, but
I wasn't for a while.
Right.
I wasn't for a while at all.
And do you know why? Do you know what that was about?
I think because I thought I knew what I should be, right? I had it in my mind. It was all intellectual. It's like, look at this. What a great example. That person's an inspiration to me. I'm going to do that. Right. And so that person had their own life path. Right. But you're young and you don't know what to do. So it took a long time, actually, when I got out of grad school. I saw a psychic. Right. Wow. I didn't have any money. I was just finishing my research. I had to write my thesis, so I didn't have any research money coming in, and I had to work as a waitress, and I was really distraught. And I was after all this schooling, and I went all this way, and now I'm working as a waitress, and I had to live in somebody else's house in a very small room, and I helped her with her kids in the morning. It was part of it. And she was a nurse at Stanford. And she was very intuitive. She actually helped me kind of a lot. She was very intuitive. Like, she knew when the earthquake was coming, that kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
And she said, you've got to see this psychic. She's amazing. It's like, come on. She goes, no, really.
Like, I'm a scientist. I can't see a psychic.
I'm finishing
rules.
I'm finishing my thesis in mineral physics. And
I love it.
And so she, in fact, I wrote it there at that little house. Right, it was a big house, my little room. And so I met this psychic, and I'm there, very polite. And she said, after 10 minutes, she goes, I can't read you. I can't read you. She says, it's very rare, but I'm just going to tell you, I can't read. She says, wait, there's a little silver in your throat. Because I talk, I'm a talker.
Go figure. Me too.
And she said, let me try that. So I don't know how she does it, but she dove in somehow, and she said, oh, Miss Susan, you're not who you say you are.
Oh, wow.
I mean, who you present is a very nice personality, but that's not the authentic you.
Oh my gosh, that would have just been a kick to the stomach.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
She said, you need to laugh more. You need to did you used to do martial arts when you were a kid? I was in judo. Yeah. I was way into judo. Yeah. She said, you need to get back into martial arts. You need to get back into art. some sort of art? Do you paint or music? I'm thinking, yeah, I'm an artist. But I put that aside to become a scientist because art would just take up I would lose track. I couldn't study and do the science if I was going to just go off and paint.
Yeah.
She says, "Oh yeah, you're not living your authentic life."
Wow.
She says, "It's like you have this cover over you're the real you. You don't laugh as much as you used to, and right?" And I said, "I suppose."
I would be, yes.
Yeah. So, I was in my proper clothes, and I was very solemn. I'm a scientist,
Yeah.
And
I'm a scientist, damn it.
I'm a scientist programmer. That's who I am. And so, she just hit on all these points.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, all right, I will start drawing and painting again. I think she's right. And maybe I'll start, I'm not going to go to judo again because, I'm not a kid anymore, but maybe I'll start meditating. And that's when things started to shift. And that's when that intuitive thought came in. I was aware then. It's like, okay, the blue sky and the umbrella, right? So now I started, now those intuitive thoughts save my butt. And when I don't listen to intuitive thought, I get in trouble. 99% of the time. But sometimes when your intuitive thought says, hey, you better take that road instead of this road, and you take that road, you have no idea what you missed. You have no idea if there was bad collision coming up or if it was just trafficy or whatever. You have no idea what it is you didn't do, and you don't really need to know.
Right.
Just follow your intuition.
Yes.
So
I wish that worked for me in grocery lines because my intuition is literally,
the opposite.
This is clearly the shortest line. Yes, score. I go in it, and then all of a sudden, price check on aisle 7, and you're like, oh, are you kidding me? Like I my intuition does not work there, but thankfully it works in probably more important ways. So I'll go with that instead.
So what was the original question? I kind of went off stack.
Well, about being brave and being who you authentically are.
So I when I turned 50, I all of a sudden got this is when I was doing the gallery, late 40s to 50, and this thought came in my head over and over again. If not now, when? If not now, when? I thought, what does that mean? What does that mean? It was like this mantra that was in my head. I thought, okay. And then I had a vision to paint women in burqas, but with a twist. So there was a woman who was sitting in a burqa with a cake in her lap, and it said, "Eat me."
Oh my gosh, cake. I love it.
And then I did a whole series. That was the first thought that came up. And I thought, oh, maybe I want to do a live performance of women in a circle with the cakes, and I'll do it at my gallery because it was a really big space. And I thought, no, that's too ephemeral. I need something more. This is a really important thing. So then I came up with this whole series. There was a little girl who was looking at a cupcake. That was her, with a little cherry on top, was herself. And then there was this big cake that had little tag that said, "Eat me," like Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
And the cake had big flour on it. It was kind of a classic cake that you paint. And I called that Alice in Wonderland. So she was making the decision. Should I toss the cupcake and go after that glamorous cake, or just keep my own thing?
Wow. And
then the next one was she took the cake, and now she became the cake.
Oh my God.
She became the thing that people enjoyed, and she was no longer seen or heard. In fact, it's called Unseen and Heard. The next painting was a skeleton under a burqa. Wow. Bony legs sticking out. And the next one after that was a young lady who had taken the burqa off. It was over her arm.
Wow.
She's pointing to the future. She's barefoot. There's a burnt bridge over here. And she's scowling at this burqa that's over her arm. And it's red. It's red. It's like,
wow. Oh, I need to, are these on your website?
Oh yeah.
I got to see this.
Yeah. And over her shoulder is a window with a latch. And through the window, you can see there's a path through the woods, and there's a river, and then there's a mountain of the trail. So her path to enlightenment is that way. Oh, but she has to stop looking and fermenting over what the ills that she had just forgotten. But sometimes you have to let that. You do have to talk about it, right? You have to come to therapy. You have to talk to your friends, like what happened and what you just went through. But that was a moment frozen in time where she was still angry about why she had kept herself covered in this artificial. Yeah. And then the next one is a naked woman, a middle-aged woman, postmenopausal woman.
Oh, that resonates.
On a globe, naked, and she's pointing back, like never again. And she's got a slice of cake.
I love this cake in there.
So it's
Laced
cake,
throughout.
it's cake and burger. Yeah. So
That's so
there's a
cool.
few more pieces in there too, actually. And I did that series,
Yeah.
and it was in my head for years, and I worked on the series for years. So I did them in oil, and they're really big pieces, and I couldn't not think about them, and I was getting really upset. Like, I want to paint other stuff that people buy. I can't sell this stuff in my gallery. I was getting really frustrated. I was seeing a therapist. I was doing dream analysis. I did all sorts of stuff trying to figure out like why. And then finally, this was my story.
Oh, that's so cool.
And when I finally figured it out, I said it to my best friend. She goes, "Oh, Susan, we knew it the whole time."
You're like, you could have helped me.
I was trying to figure out why are these paintings in my head.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So, wow, I've never really thought about how authenticity would manifest itself in an artist's brain.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the other piece of bravery, besides authenticity, is, in my opinion, is about taking risks.
Yes.
And I think so many people expect as you get older, you would stop taking risks and just kind of coast on where you are and just be serene about it. But I find that I get, and other people I know get, that when here today, it feels so comfortable. We know how to do today because it was based on yesterday, and we did yesterday semi successfully anyway. And so today is really feels kind of doable and safe. But if we sit there in too much of the same for too long, we start getting bored.
Yeah.
Then we start feeling stagnant, and then it
then
feels like rotting.
You decay. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then you think, and once you get that far down that road, you aren't really in the right mental place to start taking risks. So I think before we let ourselves get there, we have to nudge ourselves forward. And so by trying something that's a little bit scary and doing it anyway. And so what is the next risk you want to take, or one that you've taken lately towards your own personal growth?
My own personal growth. Well, first, when you were starting to talk about this, something came to my mind. Well, I used to buy stocks. That was risky. I don't anymore. I'm at the stage of my life like I don't want to do that anymore. I don't have that long game. Now I've got personally, what am I doing personally?
Well, I think coming to talk to me might have been one of them.
Well, I'm building an ADU in my front yard.
A what?
An additional dwelling unit. It's like what's called a granny unit. Now they call it ADU, additional dwelling unit.
Oh.
It's a 400 square foot house. I'm putting in my front yard.
And what made you want to do that?
Because there's the yard that I built up into a garden. Part of it couldn't be a garden, and there was pine trees over. There's a sequoia and a pine tree, and it's just pine needles. You can't grow. Right. And it's very shady. The other side of the yard is a lot of light. So that's where it's all the beauty and there's a path over there, and there's flowers and tomatoes, and I planted an avocado tree, and I planted a grapefruit tree and an apple tree, and there's a Meyer lemon tree. So there's all this path and these plants over here, and then this side is kind of the shady side.
Wow.
And I thought, we're right next to the train tracks. The train goes up and down the whole peninsula. And we're right next to train tracks. So this is not a place that really needs a yard. And the house was at the very edge of somebody put a house at the very edge of this lot. So it's a long rectangle lot, and they put the house way over here. Yeah. And there's this big space in front, and then here's the train tracks. It's like, it's not like you're going to have a garden party. I mean, I put all sorts of stuff so you don't really see the tracks, but they're there. You can hear them. And so I thought, you know what? This is wasted space. Yeah. I already took the grass out. I put this gravel down. So it's just not, and I never used it for anything. And I thought, this could be, one, I could make money. And two, it's a service to the community, because there's just people are living in trailers right outside my house. Wow.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It'll be so cool to see what you do with it.
So it's a financial risk, and it's a risk of having something like that in my yard. And, but it's exciting. Yeah. And, I had to talk my husband into it. He was like, what, how much does this cost? Like, well,
that part's an adventure.
So here's the funny thing. It's, how everybody buys Amazon, right?
Yeah.
Don't go to the store as much, because you buy stuff on Amazon, they deliver it the next day. So you can buy a house on Amazon and they will deliver it to you.
Is that what you did?
I looked into it. No, I was thinking about it. But I am buying a house that's pre-built, and it's down in LA, and they will deliver it to me.
Oh my gosh.
On a trailer.
That's so cool.
Yes, you can buy a house and have it delivered to you.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
Only one story. They can't, because they have to get through tunnels. It can only be so
Oh,
wide, because they have to
right.
get through tunnels.
Right.
But it can be as long as you want.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's definitely an adventure.
Yeah.
Okay, the fourth pillar
Mhm.
is a practice of gratitude. And
Mhm.
so how much do I think that people who are living here, again, the challenges that we all face, but part of I don't think we're ever going to be satisfied or happy unless we spend some real time pondering every day the parts of the day that did work, not the projects that didn't get finished or the people that were jerks to us on the road or in the office, but who did treat us well. What did we get finished? What did give us joy? And to actually go through that on a daily basis. Is that part of your life?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm like anybody else. Sometimes I blow and I'm rude sometimes,
Yeah.
like, it's usually to the people you're closer to.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
they can talk to you about it, I'm really sorry, but you were kind of weird to me.
You
No,
deserved it.
no. But I actually, I've taken this as a very strong part of my life. I'm very grateful for a lot of things. Like when I take the little lettuce leaf off the lettuce, I go, it's great. Thank you very much for this. You're going to go to work with me. Thank you so much. You're going to nourish me today.
Yeah.
Sometimes when somebody yells at me at the freeway because I did some jerk move, oh, thank you for bringing me back to myself. You're right. I was driving too fast. I shouldn't have done that. Sometimes I'm not sure what I did, but I feel like it's a message from that the universe uses through that person to me. It's like, wake up.
Yeah.
Pay attention.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. I'm so sorry. I don't get mad at somebody for yelling at me.
Wow.
I used to,
Yeah.
Sometimes I do if I'm in if I've got a toothache or whatever, if you're hungry or you're in pain or you're tired,
hungry,
those are the places where you're not as likely to be gracious or full of gratitude because you're just not tuned up right.
Right.
So you have to, and I recognize that. But in general, if I'm grateful for a lot of the interactions with, So
yeah, my favorite thinker, Brene Brown, says,
oh, she's great.
I mean, Brene
gratitude.
Brown, her gratitude expression, she said, I thought I had an attitude of gratitude, but I didn't have a gratitude practice. And when she put it like that, I'm like, that's it. Because if you wait for someone to say, gosh, what are you grateful for? Your family, shelter, a regular job, like things like that come. But when you actually practice it every day, I think it'll change your whole life.
Yeah.
Because you can't just give the 3 generic answers. You have to go deep and specific. Like, well, this is the perfect segue to wrap up, but I'm grateful for our conversation today. It absolutely has changed the way, this morning I woke up and, how is the technical part of this going to work? And I need to hurry.
Yeah.
And now I'm just
I got here early.
And you got here early. What? I wasn't planning on that. And so to have this kind of conversation makes me extremely grateful because it just kind of puts my priorities back in place. It's a bit of a shield against the things that aren't under my control, the commute, the pings of people needing our attention, even when we're trying to enjoy our partner.
When I called you early, right?
No, I didn't mind. I didn't mind that at all because I knew it was coming for a good conversation. And when the rent payment or the mortgage payment is due, those things are gonna. But when I focus on the gratitude for the things that work right, like it just makes it better. So I think of all the 4 pillars, I hate to say one is more important than the other because I really do believe in all 4. But if you can't have gratitude, then you're never going to be satisfied.
That one shines a little brighter, doesn't it?
It does. It really does.
So I used to wake my daughter up when she was little. She was a big sleeper, so it was really helpful for me. I swear I wouldn't have been able to go through college and do all the stuff I did as a single mom if she wasn't a big sleeper. She's also a really cool kid. She's also a real cool kid. So, but I'd wake her up in the morning. I'd say, say good morning. I'd say, good morning, honey. It's time to wake up. Say, I love you, mommy. And she'd go, and she's tired. I love you, mommy. Say, good morning, world. Good morning, world. Or the other way around. Good morning, world. I love you, mommy. That's how it went. Good morning, world.
Oh, that's so lovely.
So now she's launched on her own, and she's not in New York yet, but she's up in San Francisco with a friend at a friend's place, and she's on the top floor. She's got this great apartment, and one morning she was so happy. She opened up the window and she saw. It was a beautiful sunny day in San Francisco, and she said, "Good morning, world."
I love
And then she said, the next thought that came to her was, I love you, Mommy.
That's so adorable.
But she didn't say it loud, but she called me to let me know. So,
oh
but
my
I
gosh.
still do that in the morning. I wake up in the morning, open the window, I go, good morning, world.
That is the spirit. And that is a perfect reason why you're the kind of person I love to talk to.
Thank you.
And please tell everybody how they can see more of your work, both the technical writing and your art. Remind us of your website.
My technical writing website is Susan Kraft Consulting, Kraft with a K, like food, susankraftconsulting.com. And my art is craftart.com, Kraft with a K, because it's a German name.
Right. Well, thank you so much for taking time. It's such a pleasure to see you again.
I'm so glad I answered your call on LinkedIn. It was nice to see you there.
Well, that's a perfect segue. Anyone else want to have a conversation about how they defeat the grind? Come reach out to me on LinkedIn or on any of the platforms that you can find us, like YouTube or Soundcloud. Would love to talk with you too about how you make this crazy place we all live in work for you.